Hi, I am Antonio Barrera watching Boxing and Dinner. I am Antonio Barrera watching Boxing Dinner. Hola, soy Antonio Barrera, estás viendo Boxeo Sonando.
Welcome to Boxing During Dinner, episode 9. And you gotta do the hand gesture.
9.
You always do it.
I always do, every single time. Number 9. Next week, we'll get to just throw 2 hands up. After that, I've got nothing
Next
left.
week, we gotta make it big. It's
I'm gonna have to join your hands
the
after
10th episode.
11.
The 10th episode.
Looking forward to it.
Armando Alvarez, David Barry.
Nate right here.
As usual. We start today by telling our fans we're eating Publix. Publix
Well, we're
subs.
not eating Publix,
They're
really.
delicious.
We're eating the subs.
I'm eating
from
a
there.
supermarket.
Hold on. Alex, I want you to look at this. Armando's chopping his food up like he's about to feed the birds. What is that?
I don't know how to eat.
He's struggling. He's a little guy.
I have an eating disorder.
He needs it in small bite sizes so he can fit it. And I got the reduced sodium turkey with pickles, lettuce, tomato, and black olives. I'm pretty excited about this. Yeah, I'm
did tell
fired
me
up.
you went to Greek high school, so
Yeah, I did. Greece Olympia High School in Rochester, New York.
So David and Olives go.
Yeah, we're married forever.
So
On to the boxing.
So we're gonna start off with some good news, and then some bad news. But the good news, our good friend Harold Letterman, who was in the last episode of Boxing During Dinner, will be the boxing analyst for HBO this weekend. Jason Litzow, Adrian Broner. So a lot of applause for Harold Letterman.
Which is awesome because, and there are a lot of people who really like Harold's commentary. He's point on so many times, but you only hear him between rounds when he's doing his commentary. So congratulations to Harold. We're excited about that.
And a lot of people, they know him for the 114 to 1. But you know what? The guy knows his shit. He knows boxing.
Yep.
He's a very well versed man. He knows a ton about boxing. I'd say he's better than a lot of the guys that HBO has used over the years without naming any names. Lennox Lewis, don't whoop me. But yeah, Harold deserves this, and it's been a long time coming. It just sucks that it sounds like it's a one-time deal and not consistent. But better than nothing.
Better than nothing, exactly. And then you had said we had unfortunately some sad news, as we talked about last week with Harold, was some news that no one wanted to hear, which was the passing of former lightweight champion Gennaro Hernandez, who unfortunately lost his very, very brave battle with cancer just a day after we filmed our last episode here.
And I remember asking Harold that he was in his final days. I mean, I didn't think it would be the very next day. And I had actually texted him the day he passed, and just hoping if he was in bad shape, his family would at least see the message and read it off to him. And his brother actually replied and told me that he wasn't doing well at all. Yeah. So it was sad news because a couple months ago I got to spend some time with the guy, and he was nice as can be. I've had a sort of friendship with him through the years, on Facebook and talking on the phone and stuff. So if I seem a little teary-eyed now, it's because I am. It was a very unfortunate news, and rest in peace, Gennaro Hernandez. But 2 good things came out of this. Mm-hmm. We found out Bob Arum has been helping his family pay his bills over the years, and Floyd Mayweather Jr., who a lot of people criticize him for a lot of stuff, but he paid for Gennaro Hernandez's funeral, which is big. I mean, Gennaro has gone through so much in the last few years. Financially as well, not only with the cancer, I'm not gonna go into everything that he's gone through, but his family really needs the money at this point, and hopefully some people could step forward and help out his family. He has an 11-year-old son, so if you guys want to find out how to donate money to the Hernandez family, you could email us at boxingduringdinner@gmail.com, and I'll pass on the information, because he has a good young son, 19-year-old daughter, and they would appreciate the help. No obligations to do it, but he was a really great guy.
There's some of you out there who figure why not use Boxing During Dinner for good, right?
Exactly right. So but speaking of Floyd Mayweather, he's gonna be back. He's gonna be fighting Victor Ortiz, and we spoke briefly about the possibility of that fight a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I feel kind of good knowing that a rumor that we had discussed was something that came to fruition.
But it's an interesting fight because you know what. And I'm just gonna play devil's advocate right here. Manny Pacquiao obviously is a great fighter. I'm not gonna deny that. He's probably the best pound for pound fighter right now because of Floyd's inactivity. But in fighting Victor Ortiz, Mayweather's fighting a guy coming off the biggest win of his career against Andre Berto, a title-winning performance.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Pacquiao is fighting has-beens and guys that are coming off losses. So, you know, for all the critique Mayweather receives, he's fighting a guy that's a potential danger because Ortiz hits like a freaking mule.
And he's fighting somebody who's not over the age of 35, which is incredible. If you're going to compare him to Manny Pacquiao. I think this is a fight that Mayweather wins pretty easily. But there's a couple interesting things here. One, a 10-year age difference, which is very unique. And the fact that you mentioned Ortiz coming off the biggest victory of his career. The second thing, he's a southpaw, and he hits hard. Those are two things that Mayweather historically struggled with a little bit in his fights against Chop Chop Corley and Zab Judah. Both of them were able to get to him early, and you could argue that Chop Chop Corley even hurt Mayweather at some point during their fight. Yeah, Chop Chop. So the argument is, you know, does Ortiz maybe have the power to even stop Mayweather?
If I'm Ortiz, I just swarm Mayweather from the get-go because we saw against Shane Mosley, Shane was able to land a couple of good shots early on in the fight. Mm-hmm. After that, Mayweather dominated. I mean, I've rarely seen a boxer adjust as well as Mayweather did in that fight.
And in any fight, I think. In
any fight, you're right. But Ortiz has the power to possibly hurt him. With that said, I think Mayweather wins by decision rather easy.
As do I.
But you never know. I mean, in boxing, weirder shit has happened. One good punch could knock somebody, you know, out of #1 pound for pound. I mean, we saw at one point Roy Jones.
I was just going to say, who at 34 years old
lost his reflexes one night, and that was that. And you know, Mayweather hasn't fought in a while. We don't know.
And Mayweather's 34, coming off of his second consecutive 16-month layoff. You don't know, but of course, what I believe to be the real Victor Ortiz is not the Maidana fighter. I also don't believe it's the guy who fought Berto. I believe it's the guy who fought Lamont Peterson, probably somewhere in the middle. And you saw the second half of that fight that Victor Ortiz was outboxed by Lamont Peterson. Frustrating. I don't think that I do believe that Victor Ortiz is a dominant fighter in many ways. He's strong. He's a lefty and he's hungry. But I don't believe he's disciplined in the sense that if he were to start facing a boxer, a technician like Mayweather, that he could keep his composure and fight a sound, consistent fight from start to finish. And Mayweather, to me, is the perfect foil to somebody like Ortiz. Unfortunately, I mean, if I'm Ortiz, this is probably the worst time to have this fight, but it's the best time as well.
Right.
The stock is as high as it's going to be.
And he's gonna get paid a nice chunk. And as we get closer to the fight, we're gonna keep talking about that fight because we're excited for that one.
September 17th. No location yet, but the rumor is the MGM Grand in Las Vegas.
But if you guys are wondering why I'm wearing this shirt, I was at the Boxing Hall of Fame induction this past weekend. Julio Cesar Chavez got in, Mike Tyson, Sylvester Stallone for writing and producing and directing Rocky, Joe Cortez, one of the best referees of all time, Nacho Beristain, who's one of the best trainers, and Costa Tszyu, who's one of the most dominant and dangerous fighters I have ever seen in my life. I saw him live when he fought
the chicken dance,
and I saw him fight Miguel Ángel Gonzalez. And let me tell you, I was beginning my journalistic career at that time. I must have been like 19 years old or something. It was one of the first big fights I covered. And it is the only fight in which, sitting at ringside, I have stood up off my chair and screamed at the referee in the corner to stop the fight because I thought Gonzalez was gonna die that night. But with that said, I was being in Canastota. I gotta take care of my boxing during dinner co-host. I got you a keychain signed by Jose Sulaiman.
Wow.
From the WBC.
The corrupt Jose Sulaiman. Wow.
Who's old and he may die soon or something. So this is a collector's item.
That is a collector's. Wow. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
It's a collector's item. It's corrupt and everything, but you know what?
Take a look at that.
At least it's not the WBA. Because the WBA just stripped Yuriorkis Gamboa, and you know what, WBA? Screw you. What kind of crap is
why?
that?
Because he wouldn't fight an IBF title holder. That has nothing to do with the WBA.
And the #1 ranked WBA challenger right now is Celestino Caballero, who just lost to Jason Litzau.
Which is ridiculous.
What the am I missing
Caballero has said that if he loses his fight against Barros, which just got pushed back to July, he's going to retire. And he's coming off of a loss. That's the number one.
But he's ranked number one. So, during the Boxing Hall of Fame induction, I was able to talk to boxing legend and soon to be Hall of Famer Marco Antonio Barrera of Mexico, and this is what Barrera had to say to Boxing During Dinner.
Let's hear it.
Marco, how do you feel being here for this induction, Julio Cesar Chavez?
I am very happy because many times invite me to come in, but the time, the working, but now when Julio Cesar Chavez inside, I'm very happy to stay with him.
Do you think he's the best Mexican fighter of all time?
Absolutely. He put records in the arena, put a fight with the best, and I think so now. To Cesar, Cesar.
What's next for you? Are you going to keep fighting, or are you content being right now, doing some commentary and broadcasting?
Well, right now I don't know. I am working with the TV in Mexico, but the promoter Fernando Beltran invited me to fight 2 times. The last 2 times for retired good, but I don't know. I am talk about. I don't know what happened, but I got to wait for in the end of the year.
I know Brandon Rios mentioned that he wanted to possibly fight you. Is that a fight that might be in the works?
Yes, Fernando told me the name. He invited me to fight with Brandon Rios. Brandon Rios is a tough fighter, very strong. Have 24 years old. I know him. He do sparring in one fight, but I don't know. We got to wait.
Do you look forward to the day that you're the Hall of Famer?
Yes, I like maybe in the future.
So yeah, that was the word of Marco Antonio Barrera.
Not too bad.
One of the best warriors, Mexican warriors of all time.
Mexican or anything. But I want to point out in 3 consecutive weeks, Joey Hernandez, Harold Lederman, Marco Antonio Barrera. Sorry to say it, Boxing During Dinner is the real deal.
And we're going to strive to get guests every single week.
Yep.
That's our goal. Because, I know you guys like listening to us and watching us, but
we're not that pretty.
yeah, you'd rather see Marco Antonio Barrera.
Yep.
But speaking of Mexican fighters, this weekend Saul Canelo Alvarez against Ryan Rhodes. Mm-hmm. It's the first defense of his WBC title that he won by fighting Matthew Haddon. Ooh, Matthew Haddon, I'm so scared.
What is it with Canelo wants to fight all these Brits? I don't understand what that is.
I've never seen Ryan Rhodes. Mm-hmm. Harold said that the guy could fight.
He can.
So I'll take him at his word. But I'm not completely convinced with Canelo Alvarez. I mean, I think he's a good fighter. He's a very, very strong kid. But he almost did get knocked out by Jose Miguel Cotto,
who was coming up from 135 to fight at a catch rate of 150.
And he looked like he had a belly during that fight and everything.
It'll be interesting. Based on, and I admittedly haven't seen much of Ryan Rhodes besides YouTube, but what I understand around the time Prince Nassim Ahmed came out, both of these guys were big hyped prospects. Prince Nassim obviously went on to big things, and Ryan Rhodes didn't. But the late career transformation for Rhodes is that he's become a more disciplined fighter, not going on raw talent, who kind of reaches his peak a little bit later, who's lost his big fights, but all of them were at 160 pounds. He's never lost at 154 pounds. And I think more than anything, this is going to be a true test of what Canelo Alvarez is made of. And every fighter has to have that moment, and I think Canelo is being positioned well against the guys he's fought up to this point. It'll be interesting to see how Ryan Rhodes performs against him. Should he win? Yes, but that's why they have the fights. You just don't know. And I really want to see a fight between Canelo and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. because I talk like this. Because you can edit that out. No, it's staying. Damn it! But yeah, I want to see Canelo against Chavez because both of them have no defense whatsoever. So it'll be a slugfest. You know, a body puncher versus a lunatic. And they're both Mexican. But real quick, Ryan Reynolds, are you going to see the Green Lantern? Yeah, absolutely. I still want to see the X-Men movie, but Ryan Reynolds. I want to see him as a Green Lantern, but as Van Wilder. Yeah, now that would be a heck of a movie to watch. That would be great. But I guess that's it for Boxing During Dinner. I can't believe time flies. Every time we do an episode, it just goes by quicker. But we'll be back next week. Sorry, the text messages are blowing up and I can't stop them. But what I do want to say is that fans. Next week, fans, I wish. Next week we're going to be talking about. They're asking for our Twitter. It's at Box During Dinner. And not boxing. Not boxing. Dinner. It's at Box During Dinner, which is obviously the question. Next week we'll be talking about the recap of the Canelo fight, and we'll also be looking forward to 2 weeks from now, David Haye versus Vladimir Klitschko to unify the heavyweight belts. And we might have a guest. Hopefully we do. You never know. That's why you got to tune in. See you next week.